Okay, today we're going to try to give more ironclad answers to what's going wrong in the back of your gun when you get a backside jam. There's two basic fixes, which I'm going to try to give clarity today. All right, two. Okay, now to start with, there's only two things that are powerful enough to keep this spring compressed in your gun. And so when you have a plunger jam, it's either a tooth on here or your sear. Okay, here and here. Those are the only two things that can possibly keep the spring compressed up here past my finger. Okay, so now this arm is the anti-bear trap, the ABT. Okay, that's the acronym for it. All right, and what I want to point out is that it's not quite level to the rest of the assembly. It pitches up. Okay, I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit so you understand, but it pitches up. So what's going on in your gun when you are using your lever, and that point right there catches on that metal plate, and you're cocking it, okay? You're cocking it back. It's coming across, starts about right here, and I'm going to show this for the first time. It pushes down slightly as it's ratcheting, okay? So it pushes down slightly. Because a lot of people are confused when they take this out and they see that it's engineered to drop when you pull the trigger blade. And that's so this thing will actually shoot or it gets caught on here. Okay, so people are getting confused. So let's take a look at the actual gun. So when you cock it and you're hanging out in no man's land, we're going to call it that for the first time, and that's the anti-bear trap. You're in no man's land. Your gun is not cocked. It's not ready to fire, but it didn't mousetrap on your hand. Okay, so it's kind of hanging out in no man's land. Okay, so what's that look like? Slack lever to that point and slack trigger. Slack lever, slack trigger, zombie, no noises, no clicking. Okay, so how is that able to happen? So I want to point this out. Okay, so you have a catch point right there. Okay, and let me see if I can. All right, there. Okay, and you have a catch point, and when that plunger comes over the top and presses down on it as it begins ratcheting, it opens up a gap. Okay, so the gap is right here, and that allows what? For your trigger blade to pull freely. Compared to when your gun is cocked, when it goes 6 clicks and hits that 7th click, what's it do? It's clear of the anti-bear trap, and when you pull the trigger, watch this arm right here. Okay, it drops. You can see that movement because there is no gap anymore. So in this case, when we're looking at this, there's a gap. And so what's that allow? It allows your trigger to pull freely. So now let's talk about what the engineers at Daisy were trying to do. And you have to forgive the engineers. They believe other people see things the way they do. It makes sense, but they thought that with the anti-bear trap, that if you cock your gun, okay, and that's just about all the way there. So let's see. Okay, now it's all the way cocked. And, okay, so but if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slack lever, slack trigger, you need one more click. Okay, so what did the Daisy engineers think? Oh, well, people will realize, oh, well, my trigger is slack. I need to keep cocking it. I need to go, in this case, at least one more. And then, working gun. No, but that's not what people did. Many times they would stop short right here, one click away. And instead of having a good day shooting, they think their gun is jammed because they experienced this. Slack lever, slack trigger, and they tried taking out the screw without at least holding back the trigger blade. Now, I want to talk about this for the first time. When you hold back the trigger blade in a firm grip, it gives you some control of the trigger housing here. But no, people just try taking out that screw, and I said a gazillion times, it grabs this and sucks it inside. And that's big trouble. So, the Daisy engineers had their heart in the right place, but people see this, think the gun is jammed. They tried taking apart and they lose their weapon instead of just... Okay. Now, I showed the gap. I showed why. The gap right there. I show why it's able to stay slack like that. Now, I've shown in videos, and please just watch my previous one, I won't get in depth, of using a hook to get in here through the lever slot right here and just check this. And if it's doing this, that means it's working. And if you check your gun and it's fully cocked, as I've described in other videos, from here, from that point here, from here to there, from here to there, that gap right there as you see it, see how I'm doing that, is 3/8 of an inch. If you have that and you have a slack lever and this doesn't happen, it doesn't shoot and it's all slack, that means you have a sear jam because your plunger has cleared the anti-bear trap. And that's why my fix, it's hit or miss. 3 videos I talk about laying your gun on your side, so it's like this, and pulling back your trigger blade. And the reason you do that is because it drops that anti-bear trap and you hold it back. Here, I'm going to try to struggle to do this on the video, but yeah, so I'm going to use my thumb to make my point. But it's held back, the anti-bear trap is dropped, and by taking out the screw, some people just halfway out, this shoots and they're fixed. Other people have to take the screw all the way out as they hold the trigger back and it shoots. And then other people say it doesn't work, and I believe that's because they misdiagnosed it and they're hanging out on the anti-bear trap. There's anti-bear trap and there's a sear. If you're here, that fix isn't going to work because if anything else, if you don't have a firm grip on that trigger, it's going to suck it in. So what I'm saying differently on this video is that when you have something that is a jam, and especially if it's not fully cocked, it's right here, slack lever, slack trigger, you should be going in through the slot. Please watch my previous video and using a hook to test this. And if it's stiff, firm grip, pull it down and this thing will shoot. Okay, so yes, so that is basically what I want to get across today is the engineering of this. And yes, so the hook fix is going to be less dicey than messing with the screw. Okay, and you only mess with that screw if you're holding back that trigger. It gets the anti-bear trap out of the way and gives you control over this unit as you're taking the screw out. And yes, sometimes it can work loose, but that's only really going to work for a sear jam, not for anti-bear trap. Anti-bear trap is a hook fix. Okay, thank you, and hopefully this clears things up a little bit and has taught you the mechanics of this anti-bear trap and why you can have that slack lever, slack trigger until you cock it all the way. Okay, thank you.